Good afternoon, folks. Steven here once again. Now, first of all, I do want to apologize for not uploading anything last week. I had a surprise in store for you, which was just uploaded on this channel, and I hope you like it. Basically, what I decided to do was combine 3 videos into one. Not gonna say what they are, but I do hope you like them just the same. Now, last week, or rather last Tuesday, it was cold here in the Louisville area, and we'll get another taste of cold weather on Thursday. But enough about the weather. Although compared to last week, it will be a little warmer. Anyway, enough about the weather, for real this time. It's time for everybody, I guess you could say, least favorite video of mine, NASCAR updates. But before we get started, don't forget, if this is your first time on this channel, like the video, subscribe for more content like this and everything else. Like the video, share it, so forth. I do appreciate anything I can get at this point. Now, before we talk about NASCAR, there is one other thing I want to talk about right quick. That is my plans for this channel for the next few weeks. Because in a couple of weeks, it'll be Christmas Eve, and I'm not going to do a video on Christmas Eve. Maybe New Year's Eve, but not Christmas Eve. But I am planning to do a Christmas video Thursday before Christmas, just the same. So I just want to get that out of the way right quick. And of course, one of the surprises that I recorded last Thursday should hopefully get you guys in the Christmas mood as well, to at least some degree. But now with that out of the way, NASCAR time. So the first thing I want to talk about is the return of the stylized DEI Era 8 to the Xfinity Series, courtesy of the driver named Sammy, and be driven by Sammy Smith. Now, first of all, I am glad to see that version of the 8 back on the track in some capacity, even if it's not in the Cup Series. Because let's face it, while there may be other drivers who made that number famous, there is one driver in particular that made that number his own throughout the years. And we all know who that is. Do we, folks? But I think this is a great move to bring that number back in NASCAR just in some capacity. Whether or not he gets the number in the Cup Series, what Childress has done with it remains to be seen. But if he does, let's hope that font comes back in Cup. We'll see, though. Speaking of Childress, though, it seems it's been kind of busy this past lately, as in getting some, as in not only starting up the third time, not only returning a third team part-time for the Cup Series, but made some couple changes in crew chiefs as well. Case in point, you got Andy Street will be the crew chief for that part-time team, while Chad Hanley will be the new crew chief for Austin Hill in the 21 car, with Dane Stockman remaining with Jesse Love in the 2 car for the Xfinity Series respectively. Now, that being said, hopefully the new crew chief will give Austin the chance he needs to prove that he can win races beyond Daytona, Atlanta, or Talladega, more often anyway, and could be a legit threat for the championship in 2025 and beyond. Do I think he'll make the championship 4 next year, though? Probably not, but I think it would at least increase his chances on doing so. I know he made the championship 4 this year, but let's be realistic here. It was probably the 3rd best team that raced at Phoenix. Moving on. Speaking of changes, Carling has made some changes as well. As they promoted Mike Cook to the technical director side of things, brought Andrew Dickerson, who will be the crew chief for Ty Dillon, and Trent Owens will be reunited with AJ Allmendinger. And this is for the Cup Series, by the way, guys. And for AJ in particular, this is a great move. And I am curious to see how the new crew chief and Ty will work together going forward. Although I do appreciate that Ty Dillon is trying to make it on his own without his grandfather to help him out along the way. Directly, that is. Now, Chandler Smith has indeed left Joe Gibbs Racing, but apparently does have a new team lined up for 2025. Although we do not know yet at this time what the team is, but I am glad they still be staying in NASCAR. At least I'm assuming it's NASCAR for 2025 at the very least. As soon as the team is announced, I will let you know. Now, because of the new deal with Kroger and RFK, Kings Hawaiians apparently is going to leave RFK, but is considering sponsoring another team. It's not made official yet, mind you, but I think JGG Doherty, or at least the team formerly known as JGG Doherty, could be a possibility for that sponsor to go to. At least to some degree. Rather than that they will go to another team, though, we'll see. And I also want to extend my congratulations to Aiden Honeycutt on winning the Snowball Derby this past weekend. For those of you who don't know, the Snowball Derby is a huge deal in the late model stock car racing scene. Arguably their biggest race of the year. In fact, the biggest race of the year for those guys. Now, hopefully that success will transfer to the Truck Series for 2025 and beyond for Honeycutt. Now, there is one other thing I want to talk about right quick before I go. And that is, of course, the latest round of the lawsuit between NASCAR and 2011 with Front Row Motorsports. Now, from what I've read on J-Ski, NASCAR has asked the judge to dismiss to get rid of the filing, basically saying that, look, the teams prior to themselves, they did not sign the new charter agreement. So why should we force them to be charters if they never signed a charter? To that I say, look, here's the thing. Yes, you essentially force the teams to sign this new charter agreement or else, but at the same time, I do see your point. As in, if they say we're hurting them, why are they expanding? That I do agree with you in that regard. And why was it a concern when the negotiation process was underway? That too I agree with you in that regard. But ultimately, you're just as much at fault as the two teams are for creating this whole mess in the first place. Ultimately, though, I think the judge will side with NASCAR on this. Now, what does it mean for these teams long term? Well, technically, they still race as open teams, but they will make, but compared to a charter team, they would make less money in the grand scheme of things. Which, to an extent, I get why they're filing the lawsuit and whatnot, but at the same time, it seems to me that you did all you could and try to prove your point that you won't be bullied around by NASCAR, but eventually you have to realize that you're going to have to choose whether or not you want to stay in NASCAR, at least in the Cup Series, go down to Xfinity Series, Truck Series, or go to another Motorsports League altogether, if you don't like the way the Cup Series is handled. Now, I do want the teams to win. Let's make that point clear. I do want the teams to win, but realistically, as this drags on long into the off season, ultimately NASCAR is going to get the last laugh out of this, and NASCAR is going to tell the teams that, see, this is what happens if you don't do things our way. So when the new charter agreement expires, you're going to have to do things our way or else. And that's basically what NASCAR's stand is for over 75 years up to this point. And will be for over 80 years by the time the agreement wraps up. But, like I always say, we shall see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to do the usual. Like, subscribe, comment, so forth. Right now, like I said, the plan for Thursday, I don't know yet. But I am planning on uploading this later tonight into tomorrow morning. So that we won't get a 20-minute video once again. There is one other thing I want to talk about right quick. Towards the end of the year, I am going to do a remake of my public domain video that I talked about earlier this year. Now, basically what that means is that I'm going to try and go more in depth about what's going to be in the public domain in a few weeks. And I'll be planning on uploading it as a New Year's Eve present for all of you. So that way, by the time it gets uploaded, everything that I talked about will be officially in the public domain. Now, that is my plan for New Year's Eve. We'll just have to wait and see if that will come through or not. As for 2025, besides NASCAR updates like this, I am going to talk about other things on this channel as well. So, and as for the public domain stuff, that too will be uploaded on this channel at some point as well. So don't worry. If you still like don't worry, folks. I'm not going away anytime soon. Anyway, I'll see all of you next time. Bye.